brought to you by Soundlibra.com. You can find a direct link to our full library in the description of this audio, or visit us anytime at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Build Unbreakable Focus. Your attention is your superpower.
It really feels that way, Alex. Before we dive in, a quick heads up. While we're discussing mental focus and wellness, this isn't medical advice, so please consult a professional for any health concerns.
That's a great point. Every notification, every banner, every new piece of information fights for our focus. It's exhausting.
Exactly. So, what exactly is this attention crisis? Is it just a modern inconvenience?
It's far more. Think about it. Our brains evolved to focus on immediate needs, scan for resources or danger, and concentrate on important tasks. That deep focus helped our ancestors survive, hunt, and build.
Right. We weren't built for constant multitasking or processing dozens of messages at once.
Precisely. Today's environment is the opposite. We're flooded with fragmented stimuli: social media, news alerts, emails, messages. They're designed to grab our attention briefly and move on. This constant fragmentation rewires our brains, making sustained concentration feel like an extreme sport.
Does this constant switching actually harm our long-term focus?
It does. Every time we switch tasks due to an external trigger, our brain uses significant energy to reorient. This creates attention residue. Part of your mind still lingers on that notification or that other tab, even as you try to return to your original task. This residue drastically impairs your performance.
Attention residue. That perfectly describes the feeling of never being fully present. So, if our attention is fragmented and depleted, is it just something we have, or can we develop it?
That's key, Lisa. We've often seen attention as passively receiving information, but it's an active skill. It's a muscle, and it strengthens with practice. Our ability to focus, ignore distractions, and direct our mental energy is trainable, not fixed.
So, it's not hopeless. We can actively improve our focus.
Exactly. And that's what this series is for. We'll explore why this attention crisis exists, understand how our attention spans work, and most importantly, give you practical strategies to reclaim your focus. We'll learn to declutter our digital lives, design distraction-free environments, and tap into states of deep work or flow states.
Flow states sound amazing. That's when you're so engrossed you lose track of time, right?
Exactly. It's that feeling of complete absorption, performing at your peak. Beyond productivity, it enhances well-being, creativity, and meaning. When we aren't pulled in a million directions, we can engage more deeply with loved ones, hobbies, and meaningful work.
Reclaiming our attention seems fundamental to a richer, more fulfilling life.
It truly is. The forces causing this crisis are powerful, from technology design to modern life's pace. They exploit our evolutionary psychology, making us more susceptible to distraction than ever. But by understanding them, we can build defenses and, ultimately, unbreakable focus.
So, in this episode, we've introduced the attention crisis. We've discussed how modern tech fragments our focus and introduced attention residue for the mental aftermath of task switching. We've also established that attention is a skill we can train.
A perfect summary, Lisa. This is just the start. We'll delve into each aspect of building focus. We'll explore the science, practical distraction management techniques, and how to cultivate a mindset for deep engagement.
I'm already more motivated to tackle this. It's encouraging to know we can actively improve our focus.
And we will. We'll provide tools and insights to combat today's distractions and build a resilient, focused mind for the future. This is about more than just output. It's about living a more present, meaningful, and powerful life.
So, what comes next?
In the next episode, we'll unpack what happens in our minds when we struggle to concentrate. We'll be understanding your attention span.
Fascinating. So next time, it's all about understanding ourselves better.
Exactly. Thanks for listening. Next episode, Understanding Your Attention Span. Welcome back. Last time we covered the attention crisis. Now, let's understand your attention span.
Understanding how our attention works is crucial for gaining control in this distracting world.
Exactly. First, there's selective attention, your ability to focus on one thing while ignoring distractions. It's like filtering out background noise to hear a specific conversation.
So, it's like a spotlight, focusing on what matters and dimming the rest.
A great analogy. Then there's sustained attention or concentration. This is your ability to maintain focus on a task over time. It's what you need for reading or deep work. How long can you truly concentrate without your mind wandering?
That's the one I struggle with. My sustained attention feels so much shorter these days. Is that common?
You're not alone. Our modern environment actively works against sustained attention. We'll explore that further. Finally, we have divided attention or multitasking. This is paying attention to multiple things at once, like driving while listening to the radio.
But we hear multitasking isn't very effective, right?
Precisely. We rapidly switch between tasks, which can decrease efficiency and increase errors. So, while we have these capacities, selective, sustained, and divided attention, our modern world challenges them all.
Why are our ancient brains so ill-equipped for today's digital world? What's happening internally?
It's our ancient brain wiring interacting with modern technology. Our brains are wired to seek novelty and rewards. This was a survival mechanism. Spotting new food or danger was vital.
So, a phone notification triggers that ancient survival instinct?
Exactly. Technology, especially smartphones, exploits this. Each notification is a small, unpredictable reward, like a slot machine keeping us checking.
And there's always something new, feeding that novelty-seeking part of our brain.
This constant stimulation makes sustained focus on less immediately rewarding tasks incredibly difficult. Our brains are conditioned to chase the next new thing. This is the attention economy, where companies compete for your attention.
Beyond phone alerts, what else usually derails our focus?
Excellent question. Constant connectivity is a huge culprit. The expectation of being available 24/7 creates anxiety and the temptation to check in.
That pressure to always be on is exhausting.
It is. Another is information overload. We're bombarded with more information daily than past generations saw in a lifetime. Sifting through it fragments our attention. Task switching is also significant. Rapidly jumping between emails, messages, and work tasks erodes our ability to concentrate.
I have so many browser tabs open. I feel busy, but I'm really just spreading myself thin.
It feels that way, but it hampers productivity and deep thinking. Poor environmental design is another factor. A cluttered or noisy workspace constantly pulls at your attention. We'll cover this later.
And our own internal distractions, worries, unfinished thoughts, a restless mind.
Absolutely. Stress, anxiety, or lack of sleep impair focus. Our internal monologue can be as noisy as external distractions. Understanding these culprits, connectivity, overload, task switching, environmental clutter, and internal states, is the first step to identifying your attention patterns and triggers.
This is illuminating. To recap, we have selective, sustained, and divided attention. Our brains seek novelty, making us vulnerable to technology. Common culprits are constant connectivity, information overload, task switching, distracting environments, and our internal thoughts.
Perfectly summarized. Understanding these mechanisms and identifying your patterns is the foundation for regaining control. You're starting to see why you get distracted empowering you to make targeted changes.
It makes it feel less like a personal failing and more like a solvable problem.
That's the mindset. In our next episode, we'll explore the power of single tasking. We'll discuss why doing one thing at a time is revolutionary and how to practice it.
I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like a direct antidote to today's issues.
It absolutely is. Join us next time as we delve into the power of single tasking. Welcome back. Last time, we understood your attention span and why it's under siege. Now, let's tackle single tasking.
Single tasking, doing one thing at a time. It's the bedrock for building unbreakable focus.
We often celebrate juggling tasks, but multitasking actually makes us less efficient and more stressed. It's a myth of efficiency.
I feel like I'm doing more by doing bits of everything. What's the reality?
Our brains aren't built for true multitasking. When we think we're multitasking, we're rapidly switching between tasks. This is called task switching, and it has a cognitive cost. Each switch requires your brain to disengage, reorient, and try to pick up where it left off.
So, it's not two parallel streams, but a ping pong match in our heads?
Exactly. Every switch causes disruption. This constant switching leads to errors, decreased productivity, and mental exhaustion. It's like trying to absorb a book, a movie, and a podcast simultaneously. You get fragments, not depth.
I've definitely felt that shallow understanding from trying too many things. What's the impact on attention when we're constantly task switching?
It fragments it. Each switch trains our brains to expect constant stimulation. This makes sustained focus harder. Think of training a muscle. Quick bursts don't build endurance. Our attention muscle needs sustained effort to grow.
So, single tasking is endurance training for our attention. It gives our brain space to fully engage.
Precisely. Single tasking dedicates all your cognitive resources to one activity. This allows for deeper processing, better comprehension, and higher quality output. It's about doing better, not just doing more.
This sounds simple, yet profound. What are the tangible benefits?
You'll experience a significant decrease in errors. When focus isn't divided, mistakes are less likely.
That's huge. I dread the overlooked details from my multitasking days.
Secondly, your productivity actually increases. You're not losing time to task switching, so tasks are completed more efficiently. Studies suggest we lose 20 to 40% of productivity to interruptions and task switching. Imagine reclaiming that.
40%. That's almost half of potential working time gone?
It can be. Another major benefit is reduced stress and anxiety. The feeling of being overwhelmed by multiple demands is a huge stressor. Single tasking brings calm and control. You're in charge of your focus.
That sounds like bliss. My shoulders relax just thinking about it. What about creativity and problem solving?
Absolutely. Deep work, often fueled by single tasking, is where true creativity and complex problem solving happen. When your mind is free from distractions, it can make novel connections and explore ideas deeply. Remember when you had a breakthrough idea? It likely came when you were focused perhaps on something else, but your mind had space to wander productively.
Yes, those moments happen during mundane activities like walks. My brain works on the problem without me forcing it.
Exactly. Single tasking allows for that productive incubation. Now, some might ask, how do I do this? My life demands multitasking.
That's the million-dollar question. It requires conscious effort to break habits.
It does. First, acknowledge that productive multitasking is a myth. It drains cognitive resources. Next, start small. Choose one task to do without interruption for a set period. Even 15 to 20 minutes is a powerful start.
So, if I'm working on a report, I focus only on that for 20 minutes. No email, no social media, no messages.
Precisely. Remove distractions. Close unnecessary tabs. Put your phone on silent and out of sight, and let others know you need uninterrupted time. Try setting a timer. When it goes off, take a short break, then recommit to single tasking.
This sounds like practicing for a marathon, building that focus muscle.
That's a perfect analogy. It is a practice. The more you practice single tasking, the easier it becomes, and the more benefits you'll experience. You'll sustain focus longer, improve work quality, and feel more in control.
So, to recap, multitasking or task switching fragments our attention, increases errors, and raises stress. Single tasking means focusing on one thing at a time, allowing deeper processing, improving efficiency, reducing stress, and fostering creativity. The key is to acknowledge the myth, start with small, dedicated blocks, and remove distractions.
You've got it. Embracing single tasking is a fundamental shift towards unbreakable focus. It's about quality over quantity, depth over breadth. It's a forgotten art becoming your superpower.
We'll explore more practical strategies for making this happen.
Next episode, decluttering your digital world. Welcome back to Build Unbreakable Focus. Last time, we explored the fascinating science behind our attention spans.
That's right, Alex. And today, we're diving into one of the biggest culprits behind challenges to our focus, our digital world. We're talking about decluttering your digital life to reclaim your focus. So, Alex, what's the first step in taming this digital beast?
The very first step, Lisa, is to understand the enemy. Our digital devices are designed to grab and hold our attention, often through what are called attention economy principles. Think of it like this. Every app, every website want a piece of your attention, and they build their features to get it. This means constant pings, notifications, and endless scrolling opportunities.
So, it's not our fault we get distracted. The system is designed that way? That's a bit of relief. But how do we fight back against something so pervasive?
We start by regaining control, and a huge part of that is managing notifications. Notifications are the digital equivalent of someone tapping you on the shoulder every few minutes. They interrupt your flow, pull you out of what you're doing, and it takes a significant amount of mental energy to get back on track.
I know exactly what you mean. My phone buzzes, and I feel this compulsion to look, even if I know it's probably just a social media update.
Precisely. The most effective strategy here is to be ruthless. Go into your device's settings and turn off all non-essential notifications. Ask yourself, do I really need to be alerted in real time about this? For most things, social media, news apps, games, the answer is no. You can check them on your own schedule.
So, for example, my email notification can go?
If you're not waiting for an urgent client response, absolutely. The same applies to social media. We'll talk more about curating those feeds later, but for now, any notification that isn't for a truly urgent matter, like a direct message from a key person or an emergency alert, should be silenced. Consider batching your communication checking instead.
Batching. I like that. So, instead of being reactive to every buzz, I proactively check my email or social media at specific times throughout the day. That makes sense. What else can we do to declutter?
Beyond notifications, we need to look at the content itself, especially social media. Social media feeds are often a mixed bag of valuable information, entertainment, and sheer, unadulterated noise. The goal is to curate these feeds so they serve you rather than drain you.
How do we make them serve us? It feels like they're designed to keep us in a loop of endless scrolling.
It often is. So, take time to audit your social media accounts. Unfollow or mute accounts that don't add value, spread negativity, or simply distract you? Be honest with yourself. Does seeing content from that particular influencer or brand truly benefit you? If the answer is no, then it's time to prune.
That sounds like it could be a significant undertaking. It's easy to accumulate so many followed accounts over time.
It can be, but think of it like tidying up your physical living space. It takes effort, but the result is a much more peaceful and functional environment. You can also actively seek out content that aligns with your goals and interests. If you want to learn something new, seek out educational accounts. If you want inspiration, find artists or thinkers whose work resonates with you.
So, it's about being more intentional about what we consume, not just passively accepting everything that's fed to us.
Exactly. And this intentionality extends to the apps we have on our devices. Our home screens can become visual clutter. Think about how many apps you actually use regularly. Are there apps you downloaded with good intentions, but haven't touched in months?
Oh, I'm definitely guilty of that. There's a whole folder of apps I've probably forgotten about.
Delete them. Seriously. Each app on your phone is a potential distraction. The fewer there are, the fewer temptations you'll face. We also need to create digital boundaries. This means establishing times and places where your devices are not welcome.
Like no phones at the dinner table?
Precisely. Dinner is a time for connection. Another important boundary is during your focused work periods. If you're trying to get something done, put your phone in another room on silent or even turn it off completely. The physical distance can be a powerful mental cue.
That sounds incredibly effective. It removes the temptation and the constant pull to check. So, to recap this part, first, we manage our notifications by turning off anything that isn't essential. Second, we curate our social media feeds by unfollowing accounts that don't add value and seeking out positive content. Third, we declutter our devices by deleting unused apps. And fourth, we set digital boundaries by creating device-free zones and times.
You've got it, Lisa. And these are not one-time fixes. This is an ongoing process of refining your digital environment. It's about making your technology work for you, rather than you working for your technology. Think of your digital devices as tools. A hammer is incredibly useful for building, but if you leave it lying around your living room, it's just clutter. You put it away when you're not using it. We need to apply that same mindset to our digital tools.
That's a great analogy. It's about conscious usage. I often find myself mindlessly picking up my phone when I'm bored or stressed. So, setting these boundaries helps create an intentional pause.
Absolutely. And it's not about abstaining from technology. It's about using it mindfully and shaping your digital world so it supports, rather than sabotages, your attempts to focus. When you reduce the constant barrage of pings and irrelevant content, you create mental space. This mental space is crucial for deeper thinking, creativity, and, of course, unbreakable focus.
It sounds like creating a less intrusive digital environment is foundational to building strong focus. If we're constantly being pulled away, deep work becomes almost impossible.
Exactly. By decluttering your digital world, you're essentially clearing the runway for your attention. You're removing the obstacles and distractions that make it so hard to lift off into focused mental activity. And as you practice these steps, you'll start to notice a difference. You'll feel less overwhelmed, more in control, and you'll find it easier to engage with tasks that require sustained concentration. Remember that feeling of satisfaction when you complete a task without distraction? That's what we're aiming for.
It's empowering to think we can actively shape our digital experience to be more conducive to focus. So, Alex, after we've decluttered our digital world, what's the next step in building that unbreakable focus?
Next time, Lisa, we're going to talk about designing your physical space. Your environment plays a huge role in your ability to concentrate, and we'll explore how to create a distraction-free sanctuary, both at home and at work.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that. Designing a sanctuary sounds like a wonderful idea.
It is. So, join us next time as we continue our journey to build unbreakable focus. time we decluttered your digital world. Now, let's transform your physical space.
That's right, Alex. Our physical surroundings can be just as noisy with distractions. A messy desk or bad lighting pulls our attention. So, in this episode, we're designing your distraction-free sanctuary.
Exactly. The idea is to create a physical space that supports your focus. It's about being intentional with your environment, turning your workspace into a place that whispers focus to your brain.
A sanctuary? I like that. Peaceful and productive. So, what are the first steps?
Let's start with clutter. Our brains notice everything. When your workspace is piled high, your brain processes visual noise. This takes effort away from your task.
Oh, I can relate. My desk sometimes feels like a whole ecosystem. So, step one is decluttering. Really decluttering?
Precisely. Ask for each item. Do I need this for my current work task? If not, move it, file it, or donate it. Anything that doesn't directly contribute to your focus goal should go.
So, it's a minimalist approach to our immediate workspace. Only the essentials.
Absolutely. Then we address the senses. We've tackled visual clutter. What about sound? Noise is a huge distraction. Consider dampening your workspace. This could be heavy curtains or rugs.
I live in an apartment, so outside noise is a challenge. Any affordable solutions?
Good quality headphones are your best friend. Noise-canceling ones are ideal. Comfortable over-ear headphones help too. Beyond that, introduce intentional sound, white noise, nature sounds, or instrumental music. The key is consistency, not jarring attention-grabbing sounds. Think of it as a sonic blanket for your focus.
A sonic blanket? I love that image. A curated soundscape for productivity. So, decluttering and managing sound. What else optimizes our physical space?
Let's talk about lighting. Proper lighting is crucial. Too dim, and you feel drowsy or strain your eyes. Too bright or fluorescent, and it can be harsh. Natural light is best, so position your workspace near a window.
I feel more energized near a window. But what about when natural light isn't enough, or it's nighttime?
Use artificial lighting. A desk lamp with adjustable brightness and color temperature is great. Warmer light is relaxing, while cooler, brighter light boosts alertness. Aim for layered lighting, overhead light, and a focused desk lamp. This prevents harsh shadows and eye strain.
It sounds like we're focusing on the ergonomics of focus. Not just the task, but the entire environment supporting it.
Exactly. And that brings us to broader ergonomics. Comfort. If you're slouching or hurting, you'll fidget and be distracted. Invest in a good chair, ensure your desk is at the right height, and position your monitor at eye level. Small adjustments make a big difference.
Comfort and good posture, amazing how that helps sustain attention. Your body signals to your brain that this is a comfortable workspace.
You've got it. Now let's consider colors. Studies show colors influence mood and concentration. Blues and greens are calming and productive. Warmer colors like yellow or orange can stimulate creativity, but too much can be overwhelming.
So, it's not just about looks, but the psychological impact of color. I have a bright red stapler. Maybe not ideal for deep work.
Perhaps not. It's about balance. Subtle accents can help. A calming blue notepad, a green plant, or inspiring artwork.
It's creating a visual anchor that feels good and promotes calm and focus.
Precisely. And those digital tools we decluttered apply a similar principle to physical tools. Have a designated spot for everything. A pen holder, a tray for papers, a shelf for reference materials. When you're in the zone, you don't want to search for a pen. Everything should have its home.
This entire process sounds like a mindful practice. Designing a focus supporting space feels like self-care for our brains.
It truly is. And it's ongoing. Periodically revisit your sanctuary. Reevaluate what's working, what's creeping in, and what needs to be adjusted. Life and work change, so your sanctuary should adapt.
So, let's recap for our listeners. To design your distraction-free sanctuary, Declutter your physical space. Manage sound using noise cancellation or intentional ambient sounds. Optimize lighting for alertness and comfort. Ensure ergonomic comfort. Consider the psychological color impact. Designate a home for all tools. And remember, it's an ongoing, adaptive process.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Remember, your workspace is a tool. By intentionally designing it, you create a powerful ally for unbroken focus. You build an environment that supports your mental efforts, making it easier to dive deep and do your best work.
It's about making your environment work for you. I'm inspired to go declutter my desk.
That's the spirit. Creating this distraction-free sanctuary is crucial. Join us next time when we'll explore the art of deep work and flow states. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Build Unbreakable Focus. Last time, we discussed designing your distraction-free sanctuary.
We learned how to minimize distractions. But now, what do we do with that focused attention? How do we produce valuable work and feel good doing it?
Exactly, Lisa. That brings us to today's topic, the art of deep work and flow states. These are the holy grails of productivity and satisfaction.
Deep work and flow states. Can you break down deep work first?
Cal Newport defines deep work as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities. These efforts create new value, improve skills, and are hard to replicate. Think of it as your most intense, brain power using work.
So, it's not just about being busy, but intensely, thoughtfully engaged in something challenging?
Precisely. It's the opposite of shallow work, which is non-cognitively demanding, often done while distracted. Things like answering routine emails or scrolling social media. Deep work is what truly moves the needle.
And when you're in that deep work state, you're not thinking about lunch. You're fully immersed. Is that where flow state comes in?
You nailed it, Lisa. Flow state is that feeling of being completely immersed in an activity. Time seems to disappear, self-consciousness fades, and you're performing at your peak. Deep work is the environment and activity that makes flow state much more likely.
So, deep work is the practice, and flow is the wonderful feeling and outcome?
That's a great way to put it. Think of building intricate furniture. Deep work is the careful measuring and assembling with no distractions. Flow state is when you're so absorbed that hours pass seamlessly.
Okay, I'm picturing it. But how do we actually get into this state? What are the conditions?
Key ingredients include minimizing distractions. This means turning off notifications and closing unnecessary tabs. It's about protected time for concentration.
So, our distraction-free sanctuary is the foundation. What else?
Second, having a clear goal and immediate feedback. You need to know what you're trying to achieve and be able to tell if you're on the right track. Without a clear target, your mind can wander.
If you don't know what success looks like, how can you aim for it? And how do you track progress?
Exactly. Third, a balance between the challenge of the task and your skill level. If a task is too easy, you get bored. If it's too difficult, you get anxious. Flow happens in that sweet spot where the challenge slightly stretches your abilities.
So, it's about doing something that pushes you, but is still achievable. That makes it feel more accessible.
Absolutely. And the fourth element is intense focus on the task. This means directing all your mental energy towards the work and resisting the urge to multitask.
So, to recap the conditions for deep work and flow, minimize distractions, have a clear goal and feedback, balance challenge with skill, and maintain intense focus.
Perfect summary, Lisa. When you achieve deep work and enter flow, you produce your highest quality work. You're more creative, solve problems effectively, and learn faster.
And it feels incredibly rewarding. There's a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction from mastering a difficult task.
Absolutely. Flow states are linked to increased happiness and well-being. When we're fully engaged, we experience meaning and purpose. Building these deep work muscles is about our overall quality of life.
It's like training your focus muscle. The more you exercise it in deep work, the stronger it gets and the easier it is to access flow.
Precisely. And this isn't about achieving flow for every task. It's about reserving dedicated time for activities that can lead to deep work and flow, especially those most important for your goals.
So, this is the bridge between managing distractions and actively cultivating peak performance. It uses our calm environments effectively.
Exactly. It's about shifting from managing distractions to architecting our own focused output. We need to schedule these deep work sessions and protect them.
This conversation has clarified things. Deep work is a tangible approach to doing our best work and feeling our best.
It truly is. Identify one or two tasks this week that could benefit from deep work. Block out time, minimize distractions, set a clear goal, and see if you can tap into flow. The rewards are immense.
We've learned how to set the stage with our distraction-free sanctuaries, and now we know how to use that space effectively.
Indeed. Next episode, we'll dive into cultivating mindful awareness, a crucial skill for maintaining focus and preventing burnout.
That sounds like a perfect complement to what we've covered.
It is. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Build Unbreakable Focus. We'll see you next time. Welcome back. Today, we're cultivating mindful awareness.
And that's a fantastic follow-up, Alex. Our minds can still wander, right? So, what exactly is mindful awareness, and how does it help us manage distractions?
Mindful awareness, or mindfulness, is the practice of paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about noticing what's happening around you and within you, your thoughts, feelings, sensations as they arise. It's not about emptying your mind, it's about observing it.
So, it's like being a detective of your own internal experience? Just observing?
Precisely. When we're not mindful, our minds often operate on autopilot, lost in the future or past. This is how distractions gain power. Mindfulness is gently bringing your attention back to what you're doing right now. It's recognizing when your mind has wandered and choosing to redirect it.
And bringing attention back sounds like it requires conscious redirection. Is that where previous episodes on managing distractions come in?
Absolutely. Remember decluttering your digital world? That was about a less stimulating external environment. Designing your distraction-free sanctuary focused on your physical space. Mindfulness complements these by training your internal ability to resist distractions. It's like building a stronger mental muscle.
So, if mindfulness is about observing our thoughts without judgment, how do we actually do it? Are there practical steps?
There are many simple yet powerful exercises. One of the most accessible is mindful breathing. To practice, find a comfortable position. Gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. Then, simply bring your attention to the physical sensation of your breath. Notice the air entering your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen.
Just focus on the breath? What if my mind starts racing with to-do lists?
That's perfectly normal, and that's where the without judgment part comes in. When you notice your mind has wandered, simply acknowledge the thought gently. You might say to yourself, thinking. Then, with kindness, guide your attention back to the sensation of your breath. You're just gently redirecting.
So, it's a continuous process of noticing and returning. It sounds like a form of mental training, like weightlifting for our attention span.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the more adept you become at recognizing when your attention is slipping. This awareness is the first step to taking back control. Another simple exercise is a body scan. This involves bringing your attention to different parts of your body, noticing any sensations there, warmth, coolness, tension, tingling, without trying to change them. You systematically bring awareness to each area.
That sounds like a great way to reconnect with our physical selves, which often gets overlooked when we're just in our heads.
It is. By noticing bodily sensations, we can become more aware of how stress or distraction manifests physically. For example, you might notice tension in your shoulders when you're overwhelmed, giving you an early warning sign to pause and reset. These practices contribute to a heightened sense of presence, helping us disengage from mental chatter and ground ourselves in the here and now.
And this heightened presence, this mindful awareness, directly combats the fragmentation of our attention, doesn't it? It's the antidote to constantly jumping between tasks.
Precisely. When you are aware of your thoughts, you can recognize when a thought is pulling you away from your intended task. You can then make a conscious choice to return to what you were doing, rather than being pulled into the distraction unconsciously. It's like building a strong anchor for your attention. Remember those flow states we discussed? Mindfulness is a foundational practice that makes achieving those states much easier.
So, to recap, cultivating mindful awareness is about paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's observing your thoughts and gently redirecting your attention when it wanders. Simple exercises like mindful breathing and body scans train this ability, helping us become more aware of our internal states and making it easier to resist distractions. This practice helps us build resilience in our attention.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. And it's important to remember that this is a practice. Like any skill, it improves with consistent effort. Even a few minutes of mindful breathing each day can make a significant difference over time. It's about building resilience in your attention, so you're less likely to be derailed. We're building a robust inner framework for focus.
It's about cultivating a greater sense of control over our own minds, isn't it? Instead of feeling like our attention is constantly being hijacked, we're learning to steer it.
Exactly. And this skill of mindful awareness will become even more critical as we move forward. Next time, we'll tackle a common hurdle, procrastination. We'll explore how the techniques we've been discussing, including mindful awareness, can help us overcome the urge to delay.
That sounds like something many of us will be eager to hear. So, join us next time for episode 8, where we'll be battling procrastination with focus.
Welcome back to Build Unbreakable Focus. We just delved into cultivating mindful awareness.
And today, we're tackling procrastination, that familiar urge to put things off until later.
Procrastination often feels like a battle against yourself, rooted in scattered focus and waning motivation. But here's the good news. The stronger your attention muscles get, the more powerful your tool becomes against this urge to delay.
So, how do we harness our growing focus to actually start those tasks we'd rather avoid?
A primary strategy is called task chunking. The idea is to break down any overwhelming project into much smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of thinking, I have to write this massive report, you reframe it as, first, I'll brainstorm the introduction, then, next, I'll outline the first section. Each tiny step feels far less daunting.
Task chunking. That makes a huge project feel like a series of small, achievable goals. And checking off those small wins must really boost your motivation, right?
Absolutely. And to add more structure to this, we can use the Pomodoro technique. Have you heard of that one?
Yes, it involves a timer, right? Like those little kitchen timers that might be shaped like a tomato?
Exactly. The Pomodoro technique uses a timer to break your work down into focused intervals, typically 25 minutes each, with short breaks in between. You pick a task, set the timer, and commit to intensely focusing only on that task until the timer rings. Then, you take a short 5-minute break.
So, it's short bursts of concentrated effort. What happens after a few of those work intervals?
After completing about 4 of those 25-minute work intervals, you take a longer break, perhaps 15 to 30 minutes. This structured approach helps prevent mental fatigue and makes work feel less like an endless, daunting task. It's about sustained effort with necessary recovery built in.
That sounds incredibly helpful. It gets at the root of procrastination by making tasks seem less intimidating and providing a clear structure to keep moving forward. Those short focus bursts make starting easier than facing an entire afternoon of work.
Precisely. And this leads us to another powerful technique called time boxing. Time boxing also involves setting aside a specific amount of time for a task. But the main goal here is to dedicate that entire block of time to working on it, not necessarily to finish it completely within that time.
So, if I understand correctly, the Pomodoro technique is about the rhythm of intervals and breaks, while time boxing is more about allocating a concrete time slot for the task itself.
That's a perfect distinction. Time boxing is like saying, I will spend the next hour working on this presentation. Even if you don't finish it within that hour, you've made guaranteed, dedicated progress. This commitment signals to your brain that the task is important, which helps to overcome the initial inertia that so often fuels procrastination.
It's like making a contract with yourself. You're promising focused effort for a set period, which significantly reduces the pressure of just having to start. It removes the ambiguity of when will I get to this and replaces it with a concrete time slot.
Exactly. And when you combine these techniques, you start building momentum. Momentum is a truly powerful force against procrastination. When you're actively engaged in a task, especially one you've broken down and scheduled time for, the urge to switch to something easier usually fades away. You're already invested in the progress you're making.
So, to quickly recap what we've discussed for combating procrastination, first, use task chunking to break down your big, daunting tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. This makes the overall goal feel much less overwhelming.
Then, use the Pomodoro technique with its focused 25-minute work intervals and short, refreshing breaks to build sustained attention without causing burnout.
And employ time boxing by setting aside specific, dedicated blocks of time for a task, which powerfully helps overcome the initial resistance to starting.
These strategies collectively strengthen our focus and make the act of starting and continuing tasks much less intimidating. Procrastination thrives on overwhelm. These methods help clear that fog and lay out a clear path forward.
It's like preparing the ground for deep work. When the path is clear and the steps are small and defined, our attention can fully engage with the task at hand, rather than being consumed by anxiety about its sheer size.
And remember that touch of mindfulness we discussed? A little bit of mindful awareness during your focused work sessions can help you gently guide your attention back when it inevitably wanders, all without judgment.
It's almost a synergy at play. Mindfulness helps improve our focus, and better focus, combined with techniques like Pomodoro and time boxing, then helps us conquer procrastination. It creates a positive, continuous cycle of building stronger attention skills.
Indeed, your ability to resist distraction and stay on track improves significantly with consistent practice. These aren't magic, instant cures, but rather powerful tools that become increasingly natural and effective with regular use.
It's truly about building habits that actively support your focus and productivity. If you tend to struggle with putting things off, try implementing just one of these strategies this week. Maybe start with task chunking or try a few Pomodoro sessions and see what a difference it makes.
That's excellent advice. Consistent application is absolutely key. When used regularly, these tools will significantly boost your ability to get things done and, importantly, free up valuable mental energy for other pursuits.
So, We've learned that procrastination often stems from a lack of focus and motivation, and that building our attention muscles directly combats this. We've discussed task chunking to break down large tasks, the Pomodoro technique for focused work intervals, and time boxing to dedicate specific time slots for our work. These strategies help build momentum and overcome the urge to avoid tasks.
And that brings us to the end of another insightful episode. Next time, we'll focus on building sustained attention and integrating these focus building practices into your daily life permanently. Welcome back. Last time, we explored battling procrastination.
Today, we're building on that momentum by focusing on something crucial for conquering distraction: sustained attention.
Exactly, Lisa. In our digital age, our ability to simply stay focused on one task for an extended period has become a superpower. But like any superpower, it needs to be trained. This is all about building your sustained attention capacity.
So, it's like training a muscle? You don't start by lifting the heaviest weights immediately. You build up to it.
Precisely. We'll be talking about practical exercises that allow you to progressively lengthen those periods of focused effort. We'll be revisiting some foundational principles from episode 3, where we discussed the power of single tasking. Remember how we emphasize doing one thing at a time? That's the bedrock upon which sustained attention is built.
Right. Moving away from constant task switching, which overloads our brain. So, what are these exercises? How do we actually do this?
We'll start with deliberate practice. This isn't about just casually trying to focus. It's about intentionally pushing your limits in a structured way. Think of it like a musician practicing scales. They repeat them, they focus on precision, and they gradually increase the tempo. For sustained attention, we'll do something similar.
Okay, I'm picturing it. So, what's the first step in this focus practice?
The first step involves identifying a single task that demands your attention. It could be reading a book, writing a report, coding a project, or even a complex household chore that requires concentration. The key is that it's one thing.
And then what? We just try to do it for as long as possible?
Not quite. We need a structured approach. Let's say you choose to read a chapter of a book. Instead of just reading until you get bored, you set a timer. To start, maybe set it for 15 minutes. The goal is to read, and only read, for those 15 minutes. No checking your phone, no getting up for a snack, no wandering thoughts if you can help it.
15 minutes. That might feel like a long time when you're not used to it. What if my mind starts to race after 5 minutes?
That's where the deliberate part comes in. When you notice your mind wandering, you gently, without judgment, bring it back to the task. This is the practice. Every time you redirect your attention, you're strengthening that focus muscle. It's not about achieving perfect, unbroken focus from the start. It's about the act of returning.
So, the effort is in the returning?
Precisely. The consistent act of noticing distraction and bringing yourself back is the training. So, you do your 15-minute block. When the timer goes off, take a short, intentional break, maybe 2 minutes. Then, set the timer again for another 15 minutes.
So, instead of one long stretch, we're breaking it into manageable chunks and then building from there.
Exactly. You do a few of these 15-minute blocks in a session. Then, over time, as you feel more comfortable, you gradually increase the duration of each block. Maybe you move to 20 minutes, then 25, then 30. Listen to your body and your mind. Don't push yourself to the point of extreme frustration. Progress, not perfection, is the aim.
This sounds like it would work for any kind of focus requiring activity. What about something creative like writing?
Absolutely. If you're writing, you might decide to dedicate to 25-minute blocks to free writing on a specific topic. Or if you're a programmer, you could tackle a specific coding problem for 30 minutes straight. The principle is the same: one task, timed intervals, and the conscious effort to return to the task when your mind drifts.
What are some common pitfalls people run into with these focus sessions?
One of the biggest is the all or nothing mindset. People think they've failed if they get distracted once. But that single distraction is the opportunity to practice your focus. Another pitfall is trying to increase the duration too quickly. If 15 minutes is a stretch, don't jump to 45 minutes the next day. Incremental growth is key. You want to feel challenged but not overwhelmed.
And that aligns with the idea of building sustained attention capacity, not just having a fleeting moment of focus.
Precisely. It's about capacity. Think about it like building endurance for running. You wouldn't run a marathon on your first day. You build up distance by distance. Similarly, you're building your mental endurance for focus. You are, in essence, retraining your brain to resist the allure of quick dopamine hits from distractions and to find satisfaction in sustained engagement.
You've mentioned revisiting single tasking from episode 3. Can you expand on how that foundational principle helps here?
Certainly. Remember how we talked about the mental clutter that comes from constant task switching? That clutter makes sustained attention incredibly difficult. When you commit to single tasking during your practice sessions, you're actively clearing away that internal noise. You're teaching your brain that it only needs to process information for one thing at a time, which makes longer stretches of focus much more achievable. It's like closing unnecessary tabs on your computer to make it run faster and smoother.
That makes so much sense. So, when we're in a focused work session, say for 30 minutes, we're not thinking about the email we need to send later or the call we have this afternoon. We're only focused on this one report.
Exactly. And that's a skill. It takes practice. You can even incorporate pre-session rituals. Before you start your timer, take a moment to acknowledge your task and mentally set aside other concerns. You can even jot them down on a separate piece of paper to address later. This simple act of acknowledging and deferring can significantly reduce mental chatter.
So, to recap, we identify a single task. We use timers to create focused work intervals, starting small, like 15 minutes, and the key is the deliberate practice of noticing distractions and gently returning our attention to the task. We gradually increase the duration of these intervals over time. And we're building our mental endurance and reducing internal clutter by committing to single tasking during these sessions.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. And it's crucial to remember that this is not a one-time fix. It's about consistent, deliberate practice. Even small, focus sessions done regularly will yield significant improvements in your ability to sustain attention. Think of it as an ongoing discipline. The more you exercise this muscle, the stronger it becomes.
It's empowering to know that our focus isn't fixed. We can actively work to improve it.
Absolutely. And the rewards are immense. From improved productivity to deeper learning and a greater sense of accomplishment in your work. Keep practicing, keep returning your attention, and you'll build that unbreakable focus.
Next episode: Overcoming Mental Fatigue and Burnout.
Welcome back to Build Unbreakable Focus. Today we tackle mental fatigue and burnout.
Right, Alex? It's easy to get excited about training our focus, but we can't just push ourselves indefinitely. We all hit a wall. So, this episode will talk about how to recognize fatigue, why it happens, and what we can do to recover and prevent burnout so we can keep building those focus muscles.
Exactly. What is mental fatigue? Think of it like your brain's battery running low. When you've been concentrating hard or processing information for a long time, your cognitive resources get depleted. It's a natural biological response.
So, it's like physical exhaustion, but for our brains? If I've been lifting weights all day, I'm tired. My brain is doing similar heavy lifting when we're deep in focus, right?
That's a perfect analogy. Just like you wouldn't expect to run a marathon without rest, You can't expect your brain to operate at peak performance constantly. Mental fatigue can show up as difficulty concentrating, making mistakes, irritability, feeling overwhelmed, and a general lack of motivation. Sound familiar?
Oh, absolutely. I've experienced that brain fog where even simple tasks feel like wading through molasses. And the irritability, I might snap at someone when I'm just mentally drained.
And that brings us to burnout. Burnout is the more severe, chronic state from prolonged, unmanaged mental fatigue and stress. It's emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. It can significantly impact your work, your relationships, and your well being. It's that feeling of being completely depleted, like you have nothing left to give.
That sounds serious. What signs should we look for that indicate we might be heading towards burnout or are already there?
Listen to your body and mind. Look for persistent exhaustion that doesn't improve with sleep. Cynicism or detachment from your work is another sign. You might feel less effective or accomplished, even if you're putting in hours. Reduced performance is also a key indicator. If you notice a consistent decline in your ability to focus, complete tasks, or solve problems, that's a serious red flag.
So it's not just feeling tired for a day, but a sustained pattern of these symptoms. It's like a warning light on your car's dashboard you shouldn't ignore.
Precisely. And we can actively combat this. The first and most vital strategy is mastering rest and recovery. We've talked about breaks during focused work sessions, but now we're talking about more substantial recovery. Regular, high-quality rest isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for sustained cognitive function.
This is where it gets tricky for many of us. When we're busy, taking a break can feel counterproductive. We might feel guilt or worry we're falling behind.
I understand that feeling, but pushing through exhaustion is like driving a car with an empty fuel tank. You won't get far, and you risk damaging the engine. Effective recovery means stepping away from demanding cognitive tasks. This could mean short breaks, as we've discussed, but also intentional downtime.
What does intentional downtime look like? Is it just scrolling through social media for an hour?
Ideally, no. While passive activities can offer a brief respite, truly restorative downtime involves activities that engage different parts of your brain or allow it to rest completely. This could be spending time in nature, enjoying a hobby purely for fun, listening to music, light exercise, or meditating. The key is to do something that genuinely replenishes your mental energy, not just distracts you.
So, activities that are either mentally relaxing or engage us in a completely different, less demanding way. I can see how that would help. What about sleep? Are there specific things we can do to ensure our sleep is restorative for mental fatigue?
Absolutely. Prioritizing consistent, quality sleep is paramount. Aim for a regular sleep schedule, even on weekends, as much as possible. Creating a relaxing bedtime routine can signal to your brain it's time to wind down. This might involve reading a physical book, taking a warm bath, or gentle stretching. Critically, minimize screen time in the hour or two before bed. Blue light from screens can interfere with melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep and reducing sleep quality.
That makes sense. The blue light is like a jolt to the system when it should be powering down. And consistency really is key, isn't it? It's not just about getting 8 hours one night, but about establishing a pattern.
Exactly. Another crucial aspect is self-compassion. We often beat ourselves up when we're not performing at our best. Recognizing that mental fatigue is a normal part of human experience and that it's okay to slow down is incredibly powerful. Instead of frustration, approach your limitations with understanding and kindness.
That's a really important point. I know I can be my own harshest critic. So instead of thinking, I should be able to do this, it's more like, okay, I'm feeling tired today. What's the most compassionate way I can approach this task or my rest?
Precisely. And this self-compassion extends to how we approach our focus training. This is an iterative process. There will be good days and bad days. Some days your focus will feel effortless, others a struggle. The goal isn't perfection, but progress. If you have an off day, don't see it as failure, but as information. What might have led to that fatigue? Was it insufficient sleep? Too much screen time?
That's a great way to reframe it. Instead of a setback, it's data collection. By understanding the causes of our fatigue, we can adjust our strategies. It also means we don't need to be afraid of occasional breaks. They aren't a sign of weakness, but a smart part of the training program.
Exactly. Integrating breaks isn't about losing momentum. It's about ensuring sustainable progress. Think of it like an athlete with planned rest days. Those rest days are when their muscles repair and get stronger. Our brains are no different. Scheduling proactive breaks, even short ones, can prevent the deep fatigue that leads to burnout. These breaks can be as simple as a 5-minute walk, some deep breathing exercises, or briefly looking out a window. The key is to detach from the focused task.
So, to recap, mental fatigue is your brain's battery running low from sustained cognitive effort. Burnout is the chronic, more severe stage of unmanaged fatigue. We recognize these states through persistent exhaustion, cynicism, and reduced effectiveness. To combat them, we need to prioritize high-quality rest, including sufficient sleep, and engage in genuinely restorative downtime. Self-compassion is vital, being kind to ourselves when we feel tired, and understanding that focused training is an iterative process with ups and downs.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. Remember, building unbreakable focus is a marathon, not a sprint. Smart marathon runners know the importance of pacing, refueling, and resting. By understanding and addressing mental fatigue and burnout, you're not taking a step back. You're building a stronger, more resilient foundation for lasting focus.
And by being kind to ourselves through the process, we make the journey much more sustainable and enjoyable.
Next episode, integrating focus into your daily life. Welcome back to Build Unbreakable Focus. Today, we explore how focus fuels creativity and problem solving.
It's exciting to connect the dots, isn't it, Alex? We've been building this foundation of focus, and now we get to see what we can actually do with it. When our minds aren't constantly jumping from one thing to another, what actually happens when we're faced with a creative task or a tricky problem?
Great question, Lisa. At its core, enhanced focus allows us to engage in what's often called deep work, a term we touched upon back in episode 6. When you're in a state of deep work, your attention is fully dedicated to a single task. You're not just passively working, you're actively immersing yourself, allowing your mind to explore the nuances of the subject. This deep immersion is the fertile ground where creativity and innovative solutions begin to sprout.
So, it's not just about getting more done, but about getting better results when we do work on something. How does that immersion translate into creativity, specifically? I often think of creativity as a flash of inspiration, something that just strikes you.
That flash of inspiration often happens when you've put in the deep work beforehand. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to bake a complex cake, but you're constantly stopping to check your phone or get distracted by something else. You never get all the ingredients measured correctly, never perfectly mix the batter, and certainly never get in the oven at the right time. Your cake, and by extension, your creative idea, would be half-baked.
That's a perfect analogy. So, uninterrupted focus allows us to gather all the necessary ingredients for an idea, to properly mix them, and to give them that sustained baking time.
Exactly. When you focus deeply, you're able to make connections between seemingly unrelated pieces of information. Your mind can hold more context, analyze details, and explore different angles without being pulled away. This sustained mental exploration is crucial for generating novel ideas. You can delve into a problem, understand its various facets, and then begin to brainstorm potential solutions or creative expressions.
And this relates back to flow states, doesn't it? We discussed those intense moments of focused immersion in episode 6, where time seems to disappear. Are those flow states particularly powerful for creative breakthroughs?
Absolutely. Flow states are the apex of focused engagement when it comes to creativity and problem solving. When you're in flow, your cognitive resources are fully optimized. Your brain is in a highly efficient state, making those far-reaching connections that lead to a eureka moment. You're not consciously struggling to think. Ideas just seem to arise organically from the deep processing that's happening. This is where truly innovative solutions are born.
So, if we want to be more creative or better at solving problems, we need to actively cultivate these focus states. What are some practical ways to encourage that?
One of the most effective ways is to schedule dedicated blocks of time for creative work or problem solving, just as you would schedule a meeting. During these blocks, eliminate all distractions. Turn off notifications, close unnecessary tabs, and communicate to others that you need uninterrupted time. This intentional setting is key. It signals to your brain that it's time for deep engagement.
And does the type of problem or creative endeavor matter? For example, is it easier to focus on something visually creative like painting versus something more abstract like writing a complex proposal?
The principles are the same, but the challenges might differ. For highly visual tasks, controlling your environment visually is crucial. For more abstract tasks, ensuring mental clarity and minimizing internal versus external distractions becomes paramount. The overarching theme is still about creating an environment where your mind can wander constructively, making those novel associations without getting derailed.
It sounds like a form of mental incubation, letting ideas simmer and connect on their own.
Precisely. And remember how we talked about mental fatigue in episode 10? Sustained focus, especially during deep work or flow, can be demanding. However, the type of focus involved in creativity and problem solving is often energizing when done right, precisely because it's engaging and rewarding. The burnout we discussed often comes from fragmented attention, constantly switching contexts, which is incredibly taxing. Deep, focused engagement, on the other hand, can be invigorating.
That makes sense. So, the key isn't just to force yourself to concentrate, but to create the conditions where concentration feels natural and productive, leading to those creative insights.
Exactly. It's also about embracing the process. Not every moment of focus will yield a groundbreaking idea. Sometimes, deep work simply means understanding a problem more thoroughly, or sketching out initial concepts that might not seem revolutionary at first. But it's this consistent dedication, this willingness to sit with a challenge, that builds the foundation for eventual breakthroughs.
So, to recap for our listeners, enhanced focus, cultivated through practices like single tasking and mindful awareness, directly fuels our creativity and problem solving abilities. By engaging in deep work and flow states, our minds can make novel connections and explore challenges with greater insight. The practical advice is to schedule dedicated, distraction free blocks for these activities, allowing our minds the time and space to incubate ideas and forge new pathways.
That sums it up beautifully, Lisa. The ability to focus isn't just about productivity. It's about unlocking our higher cognitive functions, allowing us to innovate and solve the complex problems we face in all aspects of life. It's a powerful skill that has far-reaching benefits beyond just getting tasks done.
It really does feel like the culmination of everything we've been building these past 10 episodes.
In our next episode, we'll shift our focus to how we can weave these learned skills into the fabric of our everyday lives, making sustained attention a natural part of our routines. Next episode, integrating focus into your daily life. Let's integrate these focus strategies into your everyday life.
That's right, Alex. It's one thing to learn about focus, but it's another entirely to actually live it consistently. So, how do we take all these fantastic tools and practices and weave them into the fabric of our daily routines so they don't feel like extra chores but become natural habits?
That's the million-dollar question, Lisa. And the key, I believe, is integration. It's about taking those peak focus moments we've discussed, like deep work sessions or mindful awareness practices, and finding ways to make their underlying principles work for us throughout the entire day. Think of it like this. We've built a fantastic toolkit for attention mastery. Now, we need to learn how to use those tools not just for special projects, but for the everyday construction of our lives.
So, it's not just about having dedicated focus blocks, but about bringing that focused mindset to everything we do?
Exactly. Let's start with something we touched on earlier, but can now expand, managing our digital environment. Remember our discussion on decluttering your digital world? We talked about turning off notifications, curating our feeds, and setting boundaries. Integrating this means making those choices the default. Design your phone so that irrelevant notifications are off by default. Set up your email so it only checks at specific times. This isn't a one-time cleanup. It's a continuous process of maintaining a digital environment that supports, rather than sabotages, your focus.
That makes sense. Instead of a big digital declutter every few months, make it a daily habit to swipe away unnecessary alerts or simply resist the urge to open distracting apps. It's about consistent, small actions.
Precisely. And this applies to our physical spaces too. Remember designing your distraction-free sanctuary? That wasn't just about creating a perfect office. It's about applying those principles wherever you are. If you're working from home, your sanctuary might be a dedicated desk. If you're in a busy office, perhaps it's noise-canceling headphones and a signal to colleagues that you need uninterrupted time. It's about actively shaping your environment to be conducive to focus, even when you're on the go.
So, even if you can't have a perfectly silent room, you can still employ strategies like using a specific playlist for focused work or finding a quiet corner for critical tasks. It's about adapting the sanctuary concept to your reality.
You've got it. Now let's talk about integrating the practices of deep work and single tasking. The idea here is to schedule these highly focused periods deliberately, instead of letting your day be a chaotic mix of shallow tasks. Consciously block out time for that deep, concentrated effort. Even if it's just 60 or 90 minutes a day initially, scheduling it makes it real and prioritizes it.
I think that's a really practical tip. We can easily get caught in the trap of thinking we'll get to that important project when we have time. But by scheduling it, we're treating it with the same importance as a meeting. And single tasking? How do we embed that throughout the day?
Single tasking is about training your brain to resist the allure of multitasking. In your daily life, this means when you're writing an email, just write the email. When you're in a meeting, just be in the meeting. When you're talking to a loved one, give them your full, undivided attention. It sounds simple, but it's an active choice to resist jumping between tasks. It helps prevent that mental fatigue we discussed.
It's the opposite of our default digital mode, isn't it? We're so used to having 20 tabs open in our brains, emotionally and mentally. Practicing single tasking is like closing those extra tabs.
Exactly. And this brings us to cultivating mindful awareness. We can integrate mindfulness not just through formal meditation, but by bringing that awareness to our everyday activities. For instance, when you're eating, focus on the taste and texture. When you're walking, notice your surroundings. This practice of present moment awareness is a powerful antidote to distraction and a foundational skill for sustained focus.
So, rather than thinking I need to meditate for 20 minutes tomorrow, I can try to be mindful during my morning coffee or while doing the dishes. It's about finding those small pockets of presence throughout the day.
Precisely. And let's not forget about combating procrastination. Integrating focus means developing the habit of just starting. Even if a task feels overwhelming, the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it now, or simply committing to working on it for just 5 minutes can be incredibly effective. Getting started is often the biggest hurdle. and consistently taking that first small step builds momentum.
That consistent taking of small steps is crucial. It prevents tasks from piling up and becoming a source of anxiety and future procrastination. It really is about building momentum with focus.
Absolutely. Now, consider the challenge of mental fatigue and burnout. Integrating focus also means building in sustainable practices. This means understanding your limits and planning for recovery. Schedule breaks, get enough sleep, and engage in activities that truly recharge you, not just distract you. This isn't about avoiding work. It's about ensuring you have the mental and physical energy to sustain your efforts over the long term.
So, rest and recovery aren't luxuries, they're essential components of a focused life. It's about working smarter, not just harder, and recognizing that our energy levels fluctuate.
Right? And finally, think about creativity and problem solving. By consistently practicing focused attention, you're creating the optimal conditions for these abilities to flourish. The more you train your focus, the better you'll become at diving deep into complex problems and generating innovative ideas. These integrated practices become a virtuous cycle.
It's like everything we've learned is coming together now. It's not about achieving perfection in focus, but about building a resilient system of habits that support our attention, day in and day out. It's about making focus a way of life.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. Integrating focus into your daily life is about consistency, adaptation, and making mindful choices. It involves refining your digital and physical environments, prioritizing deep work and single tasking, cultivating present moment awareness, overcoming procrastination with small wins, ensuring adequate rest and recovery, and understanding that consistent focus fuels creativity and problem solving. These are not isolated techniques. They are interconnected pillars of a focused existence.
So, our call to action for listeners this week is to pick just one or two of these integration strategies and start implementing them deliberately. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Choose something that resonates and make it your focus for the coming days.
Excellent advice. Remember, building unbreakable focus is a journey, not a destination. By consciously integrating these practices into your daily life, you are actively investing in your productivity, well-being, and overall effectiveness. You're not just managing distractions, you're building a stronger, more resilient attention muscle.
And that's a habit worth cultivating. Next episode: The Future of Attention, a Lifelong Practice.
Welcome back. Over the past 12 episodes, we've explored the attention crisis and built strategies for focus.
That's right, Alex. We've uncovered how to understand our attention spans, embrace single tasking, decluttered our digital spaces, and designed distraction-free sanctuaries. We dove into the power of deep work and flow states.
We also cultivated mindful awareness, battled procrastination, and learned the importance of consistent practice in building sustained attention. Plus, we've tackled mental fatigue and harnessed focus for creativity and problem solving. It's been a comprehensive journey, hasn't it, Lisa?
Absolutely. And now, in this concluding episode, we want to bring it all together. Mastering attention isn't a one-time achievement. It's a continuous practice, and the world around us is always changing.
Exactly. Think about it. New technologies emerge, our environments shift, and our own personal circumstances evolve. What works perfectly today might need a slight tweak tomorrow. This means our commitment to focus has to be dynamic. It's not about reaching a finish line, but about building a resilient mindset that can adapt and thrive no matter what.
So, the future of attention is really about making these focus-building habits second nature. It's about integrating them so deeply into our lives that they feel less like a chore and more like an essential part of who we are. It's like tending to a garden. You can't just plant the seeds and walk away. You need continuous care.
That's a great analogy, Lisa. You water it, you weed it, you give it sunlight. Similarly, with our attention, we need to regularly practice our techniques, be mindful of new distractions, and consciously choose environments that support our focus. It's a proactive approach, always looking ahead.
When we first started this series, many of us felt overwhelmed by the constant pull of distractions. Now we have a toolkit. We understand that our attention isn't just a passive receiver of information, it's an active, powerful tool we can direct.
Remember our early episodes where we discussed the attention economy? It's designed to capture and hold our gaze. But by understanding its mechanisms, we've gained the power to resist it. We can now make conscious choices about where we direct our valuable mental energy.
And that's precisely the lifelong practice, making those conscious choices, moment by moment. It's about recognizing when you're getting pulled into something unproductive and gently redirecting yourself. It takes kindness and persistence.
Persistence is key. We've emphasized practice throughout this series, and it holds true for the long haul. The more you engage in deep work, the more you practice single tasking, the more you become adept at filtering out noise, the stronger your focus muscle becomes. It's like any skill. The more you use it, the better you get.
And this isn't just about productivity at work. Building better focus impacts every single area of our lives. Think about relationships, being fully present with loved ones. Think about learning, really absorbing new information. Think about personal growth, dedicating time to introspection and self-improvement.
Absolutely. It's about experiencing life more fully. When we are focused, we're not just completing tasks, we're engaging with the world in a richer, more meaningful way. We notice more, we appreciate more, and we connect more deeply.
So, as we wrap up this series, what are the core takeaways for this lifelong practice? I think it boils down to a few key pillars we've built upon. First, understanding our own attention and the forces that try to hijack it.
Second, actively cultivating an environment that supports focus, both physically and digitally. This means decluttering and designing intentional spaces.
Third, mastering the art of deep work and flow states. That's where most significant contributions and satisfactions often come from.
And fourth, developing sustained attention through consistent, mindful practice, learning to manage mental fatigue, and using our focus to fuel creativity and problem solving. These aren't just separate tools, they are interconnected parts of a cohesive approach to living with intention.
It's a journey that rewards us with clarity, effectiveness, and a profound sense of accomplishment. The future of attention is bright for those who choose to invest in it. It's a skill that will serve you, no matter how the world technologically evolves.
It truly is an investment in yourself. And remember, the occasional lapse is perfectly normal. The important thing is to notice it and gently return your focus. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Keep practicing, keep adapting, and keep cherishing your attention.
This has been such an insightful series, Alex. I feel equipped to continue this journey.
Me too, Lisa. Thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this exploration of building unbreakable focus. It's been a pleasure guiding you through these episodes. Thanks for listening to the series.